Lately, I've been seeing more and more videos of people conjecturing that Apple's demise is upon us. And I get it, this is the first time that Apple's future has been put into question. But I'm tired of all the clickbait and the overly emotional responses to the recent news. I just want to put this whole situation into perspective and explain why Apple just isn't dying and what I think Apple will do next. First off, I understand that there has been a string of bad news for Apple, mainly the lower than expected sales of Apple's new iPhones. And if you don't know, Apple lowered its forecast of making $91.5 billion of revenue in the last quarter to only, get this, $84 billion. Listen, $84 billion is still a lot of money. With $84 billion, you could buy like half of Disney, and I'm not exaggerating, like half of the whole company. Star Wars, Marvel, Pixar, ESPN, the ESPN channel, all the Disney parks, all of that. Except you only get half. I'll take Marvel, you can keep Star Wars. I actually kind of like The Last Jedi, please don't hurt me. To say a company with those levels of revenue is dying is just kind of ridiculous. To be fair, I've predicted Apple's fall for a long time, like for the past 5 years, and year after year I've been wrong, and my reasoning for this was simple. Look at the Apple product line when Steve Jobs left Apple, and look at it today. It's almost the same with just some enhancements. Sure, they ditched the iPod and added the watch and TV, but the whole thing kind of feels samey, and those things are kind of like secondary products. I just kind of feel like when Steve Jobs was there, they were just constantly pumping out new, exciting, innovative, great, interesting product after product. And since then, it seems like they've been just riding the wave, and until now, it's been pretty good. But Apple isn't dying. It's far from that, actually. It's just that they aren't on top anymore. Amazon, Microsoft, Google, all are in front after Apple's recent shortcomings. So to really solve this puzzle, you gotta ask the question, why are the iPhone sales dropping? There could be a million different reasons for this, but I think the biggest reasons are threefold. First off, I think as time has gone on and technology has enhanced, the enhancement from one phone to the next on a year-by-year basis just isn't really that much of a reason to upgrade anymore. Like, I remember back in the day when they jumped from the iPhone 3GS to the 4, like that was a leap. That was a much better camera, a much improved, nicer screen, a faster performance. They added FaceTime. I mean, it was just like a really, really nice upgrade. But what's the difference between the iPhone 10 and the iPhone XS? Honestly, not that much of a difference. You could even say from the 8 to the XS isn't that much of a different experience. It's just a bigger screen, and the performance might be a little bit better, but unless you're using them side by side, you probably won't notice. The second reason is because Apple raised the price of their flagship devices and priced out a lot of their customers. 2 years ago, the iPhone 7 was their flagship phone, and it started at, get this, $649. And today, the iPhone XS, their new flagship, starts at $1,000. That's quite a jump in 2 years. And sure, they have the XR for much cheaper, and a lot of people really like that device, but I think the average Apple enthusiast, they want the best, not a compromise. But the last thing I think is holding back iPhone sales is something that I heard recently the Apple CEO Tim Cook talk about, and it's that the cat is out of the bag. People now know that you can make your phone act almost like new again if you just give it a new battery. Couple that with a new iPhone that is more expensive than ever, and I think I'll just replace the battery this time around. But here's the thing, the average life of a phone, it's still probably somewhere around that 2-year mark, maybe 3 years. I mean, something breaks, not just the battery, sometimes it's the camera, the screen. There's a lot of things that can break, and people still need to replace their phones every now and then. So it's not like people are never going to ever buy a new iPhone. So what's really happening here isn't the death of Apple, it's just a change in how we react to technology. It's Apple essentially hitting a plateau and every year getting record profits. That's just not gonna happen anymore. But Apple is still extremely profitable. That's just not exactly what investors value. Investors value growth. They value seeing a company sprinting up a mountain and not a company standing on top planting their flag in the ground. Which is why Apple stock took a dive and why now a lot of people are saying Apple is dying or it's in trouble. So what's next? Well, Apple needs to make a shift in their business, at least if they want to be the most valuable company in the world again. There was a day when Apple's computers were the big breadwinner in the company, but then they innovated, they changed, and not as much. So their next hit was the iPod. But then they innovated and changed, and now that's the iPhone. And now they need to find that next new thing. Is it a new product? Maybe, but personally I have a hard time seeing a product that will sell better, or even a product that could possibly replace the iPhone. And since good technology is now cheaper than ever, I don't think that the future is new hardware. It's gotta be a shift to something else, something maybe like software and services. See, that is one place where Apple has a huge opportunity for growth. In fact, we're kind of already seeing Apple make this shift. Apple Music is something that I haven't really followed in a while, but it's a really huge subscription service for Apple. And last I checked, it has 58 million paying members. To put that into perspective, Netflix has 138 million paying members, which is more. Yeah, it's more, but that's still a lot more people than I expected. Also, Apple is pursuing creating its own original video content. They in fact put $1 billion aside as an investment into it, I assume to compete with Netflix and the other major dozen players in making their own original content. Apple is even allowing TV manufacturers like Samsung and LG to put iTunes into their TVs. That was big news recently at CES. That's possibly the most un-Apple thing I've ever heard, putting Apple software in devices that Apple doesn't make. Why do that? Hasn't Apple always been a hardware-first company? Well, things are changing. In fact, you can kind of see things changing right now because Apple just announced that they had one of their biggest sales sprees in the Apple Store. They made $1.22 billion from Christmas Eve to New Year's Day. That's a lot of money in just an 8-day period. What we're seeing is a new Apple, one that realizes they can't be a one-trick pony anymore. They're diversifying, they're finding new paths. Some will work, some won't, but if they keep doing the same thing over and over, it'll just be a slow death, and I think they kind of know that. I think if the next iPhone launches at a more competitive, less premium price, but still provides that premium experience, who knows, maybe even somebody like me might consider switching. And I've been using Android since the very beginning. I think the future for Apple has to be trying to gain market share. They have just kind of priced themselves out of a lot of people's grasp with their recent decisions. So my simple prediction for Apple in 2019 is that the next iPhones will be a bit cheaper, and it'll open up that possibility that more people will buy them, and that will widen the pool of people that they can upsell to with all of their new services and software that they have now and down the pipe. But what do you think? I would love to talk to you about it below in the comment section. Thanks for watching, and what do you think of this type of content on the Search for Awesome channel? Would you like to hear more of my opinions about the state of tech today, or do you want to just keep it strictly to reviews? Personally, I'm not interested in taking the clickbaity, the sky is falling approach to opinions, although I do love those types of videos. They're kind of hard not to click on. But I have a lot of opinions, and right now I just kind of force them on my wife, and I'm sure she would appreciate the break. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments below, and let me know what you thought of the video with a like or dislike. Thanks for watching, and I guess I will see you next time when the Search for Awesome continues.